Imagine a stone temple peak engineered to loom over the horizon. Then place it next to a painted manuscript so small and detailed that the entire work fits in the palm of your hand. These are the opposite poles of scale, the colossal and the microscopic. Yet both were produced during the same centuries of Indian history. Following the collapse of the unified Gupta Empire around 600 AD, the subcontinent didn't enter a period of decline. Instead, the map broke apart into dozens of independent regional kingdoms. This political fracture created a new class of Rajput kings, wealthy merchants, and religious leaders. To solidify their status in a crowded landscape, they needed visible, undeniable proof of their power and their piety. This regional competition pushed religious art to its physical limits. Patrons competed for prestige by commissioning works at absolute extremes, the impossibly large and the impossibly small. In central India, the Chandela dynasty sought to dominate the physical skyline. They elevated their temples at Khajuraho on massive stone platforms called jagatis, forcing the structures to rise above the surrounding plains like artificial mountains. Balancing that much weight required high-level engineering. This ground plan shows a Saptaratha design, where the structure is divided into 7 distinct vertical segments that interlock to support the massive spire. Those 7 vertical segments created massive exterior walls called jangas. Master carvers filled these surfaces with dense, overlapping rows of human figures, often wrapping the entire building in a single, continuous layer of sculpture. To give the stone a sense of movement, artists used specific, stylized poses. In this drawing of a lady playing with a ball, the body axis is twisted so sharply that her face appears in strict profile, even while her torso turns toward the viewer. By the 13th century, on the eastern coast of Orissa, the Surya Sun Temple at Konarak pushed this monumental scale even further. At Konarak, the architecture moved toward literal representation. The builders designed the entire temple to serve as a stone chariot for the sun god, including massive sculpted horses positioned to pull the structure forward. The structure sits on 12 pairs of these enormous stone wheels. Each one is carved with deep relief, turning the temple's foundation into a multi-ton set of spiritual machinery. At this macro scale, medieval builders turned the terrain into a series of constructed mountains and chariots. They spent generations moving and carving massive tonnage to make divine presence a permanent physical fixture of the landscape. While kings in the center and east built in stone, the Pala dynasty of Bengal and Bihar directed their resources toward a Buddhist revival. The Palas took the sprawling grace of ancient wall murals and adapted it to a miniature scale. On these palm leaf manuscript strips, artists painted complex, multi-armed deities using fine lines and somber hues to illustrate sacred Buddhist texts. This focus on detail extended into metalwork. In this bronze sculpture, the artist balanced the sharp, rigid geometry of the decorative arch against the soft, rounded modeling of the human torso. On the west coast in 14th century Gujarat, the primary patrons weren't kings, but wealthy Jain merchants who commissioned art to gain spiritual merit. These merchants funded Jain Kalpa Sutra manuscripts. The style abandoned naturalism, using rigid profiles and cloying colors. Notice the face on this figure. The farther eye projects entirely into space, past the outline of the cheek. The microscale demanded a different kind of labor. Patrons expressed their faith through the extreme density of detail found in layered ink, or the sharp, microscopic ornamentation of a bronze casting. Building a stone chariot requires the coordinated physical labor of thousands. Painting a miniature manuscript requires a hyper-focused, singular hand. Yet both actions share a single origin. In this fractured landscape, regional rulers and merchants used these extremes of scale and precision to visibly solidify their status. This competition helped mature the regional styles of North and South India. It was during these centuries that the specific ways Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism depicted their gods moved from early, perishable wooden forms into the sophisticated stone and metal traditions that followed. The political borders of these kingdoms have vanished, and the dynasties themselves are long gone. What remains is the visual record they left behind. The medieval period proves that devotion can be expressed with equal power in 2 ways: through a multi-ton stone spire reaching toward the sky, or a delicate manuscript resting in the palm of a hand.